What's up, guys? Welcome back to the infamous project. We are now in 2024, and what does that mean? Well, it means more projects. I know in my little bit of an outro video to 2023, I was talking about maybe diversifying the channel, but with that said, that doesn't mean that I'm going to leave Fox bodies out of it. You can see sitting here behind me, we've got a beautiful survivor example of a really nice clean hatch. Now, this belongs to Chris. Chris lives down in Dripping Springs, Texas, which is absolutely a beautiful place to be. If you guys are ever visiting Texas and you're in the central area, guys, go down to Dripping Springs, aka Drinking Springs. Tons of breweries, distilleries, wineries. Bring the wife. Beautiful place to be. Now, with that said, this used to be Chris's mom's car, and it's been in the family since pretty much brand new. And another light titanium car. I feel like it's been like the light titanium theme for the past 6 months or so, because, well, we got Chuck's 91 GT, we got Project Menace, and now we have, I don't know the name that this project is going to be, but I kind of want to say, is it an average Fox? I don't know. You guys can be the determinators on what this car is. I think it's more in survivor mode that just needs a clean up and a freshen up, and that's why the car is here. So let's hit that intro. We'll come back and we'll talk about what the project plan is for this beautiful little hatchback sitting right here behind me. All right, folks, so what we have here is a 1990 light titanium on black tweed LX hatch, and, well, don't be too disappointed, it is automatic. Now, I've been trying to promote and say that automatics really aren't that bad, and in reality, I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or maybe just cruising a little bit more. Guys, if you're not making a shit ton of power, the automatics really aren't that bad. You get a good gear in the back and maybe a couple little bolt-on mods, you're off to the, well, I shouldn't say you're off to the races, you're off to the cruises. How about that? So car is fairly clean, and you can see it's suffering from a lot of the common little Fox body isms. Before we get into the exterior, let's talk about the interior. Custom door mat pocket sag, and somebody's already tried to do the fix once upon a time, and we'll get those right. You know, stuff like the bezels around the window switches are off. We got busted mirror covers. Everything else in the panel looks okay. Gonna need new speaker grill covers. We got a little bit of corrosion in here. This isn't anything too crazy. This can all be blasted and cleaned up when the car goes in for paint. See, like, little rubber grommets underneath this guy is missing. Who knows if the metal portion underneath this guy is there. I believe Chris said he already had an LED conversion done in the dash. Cup holders installed. We got, you know, some material separation on the tweed. He's got TMI covers. The carpet looks to be in pretty good shape. Maybe just a pressure wash will bring that back to life. But from the interior, things are pretty straightforward. Now, you can see there's a wish list sitting on the passenger seat there. And the main focus around this car is going to be resurrecting the body and the paint. Now, these are all original panels on the car. All the VIN numbers are there. The car did have a very minor kiss of a rear end of another vehicle, which has slightly shifted a few things, but that is nothing that we can't get sorted out and fixed. So this has been a California car before coming to Texas. That's where Chris's mom was from, and what you see is pretty much all original. You can see the dual pinstripe instead of the solid single one, and pretty clean. You can see we got some rocker panel pinch weld fold up from improper jacking of the vehicle. We'll get those all straightened out. And one thing, Chris did put a new cap back on it, and they got him the black exhaust tip system, which I didn't even know was an option. Apparently it is, and he's really wanting chrome, so hopefully we can get that sorted out. He's looking to go disc brakes in the rear and maybe drop the car down a little bit more, which I'm not going to object to. You guys know I like to ride low, but what a really nice, clean, solid an example from a body perspective. You know, there's a few little war wounds, right? But we're solid, right? We're solid. We're fairly rust free, other than, you know, those doorposts, which are notorious for rotting there. We got a little bit underneath the LX wing here, which is nothing really to worry about. We're gonna have to do some trim work. All right, these are all toast, so we'll be doing trim, getting this all looking like new again. So I've got my painter Red Dog's Custom Paint, who has done a number of projects for me. He's painted the Calypso notch, he did the engine bay in Chuck's 91 GT. So this car's transformation will mimic a lot of Brian's, I think it was an 88 GT. So it will be looking almost like brand new again, because it's actually going to look better than brand new in my opinion. It was back in 1990, folks. Things look good back then, but we can make them look better this day and age. So new taillights, because one of these is cracked, getting all the trim right, getting new emblems, fixing stuff like, you know, all these little things. Really, just the little things matter. They really do. So we're going to get this car right. Now let's pop the hood, because with a Fox with miles, and this car does have miles, it's got, I think, 160,000 on the clock. 170,000. Isn't that funny? This car reads 70,000 miles, and I bet you anybody else, the average person trying to sell this car, would probably say, oh, it says 70,000 original miles. And with the amount of years that have gone by since 1990, which is, you know, 34 odd some years at this point, it probably could look like this with only 70,000 miles, but this is an example of a fairly well taken care of car with 170,000 miles. So let's look under the hood here. So gonna have to take a look at things pretty close here, because Chris wants to make sure that the car is reliable and that he's not going to run into issues like other than normal Foxbody isms and old car things. But, you know, timing cover gasket, water pump gasket, probably a lower intake manifold gasket. The question is going to be, is it worth just pulling the motor out and doing all the major gaskets on it and going from there? Does he want a set of headers? Does he want, how much dress up do we want to go here? It's going to be the ultimate question. Is the car is a driver. He's not expecting to win shows, but he wants something that's going to be reliable and respectable when you pop the hood, which leads to, we will be painting up the engine bay as much as we can. So whether we paint the bay engine in and we, you know, clean up everything off the inner aprons and the back firewall and all that, you're going to be upgrading the brake booster, probably swap out the master cylinder. All those things are going to get done, especially if we're converting the rear to disc brakes. Now the car is going to stay four lug. It's going to stay on the pony wheels and stay true to a pretty factory look with just a couple little tasteful upgrades here and there. So that's the objective that we're working with. I want to take the car out for a quick test drive just to kind of get a feel for the car and an idea. He said that the dash rattled and he wants the rattles, which all Fox bodies rattle, but if we can mitigate those rattles or reduce them or just get rid of a lot of them altogether, that would be ideal. And I just kind of want to know how the car feels before I start stripping it down for paint. All right, automatic. Oh, that is quiet. So there's things like the power steering pump is whiny, which I know Casual Customs can relate to. There are a few little clunks and movements in the suspension. The car is tight. Like, I know it's kind of like contradicting what I'm saying, where I'm saying, oh, there's a couple of clunks and bangs, but I'm saying the car is tight. I mean, the car is tight in terms of the stiffness of the body. Now, this being Chris's mom's car originally, and being automatic, we can pretty much count on the fact that this car hasn't been beat on. So it's probably been driven conservatively, which the reality is it could probably do with a little bit of carbon ejection, if you know what I mean. Brake pedal's pretty hard. It's not bad for drum brakes. Pick down works. So one thing with 170,000 miles that we're going to have to consider is going to be like the harmonic balancer. How's the rubber looking behind there? Things like the timing cover, injectors, O-rings, all of those little things that can maybe not be an issue right now, but they could be later. And there's nothing worse than having a freshly painted car that looks the part, that's giving you all these stupid little nickel and dimey type related issues. So we want to make sure we can get rid of as much of that as possible. The car actually drives super straight. Now you gotta remember, we're on an old country road here, so it's going to kind of pull to whichever side of the grade that we're driving on. But steering wheel straight. There's no play in the column. You know, sometimes those rag joints can go out, or the bearings in the column nowadays can give you some clunking and movement, which this wheel seems to be nice and firm. No check engine lights, car idles beautifully. Says his mom has all the service records from all the history and everything like that. I asked if the heater core has ever been changed. I'm sure it has been. The question is how long ago was it changed? You know, that'll sort of dictate. You know, I can hear a couple little rattles, so you can see this cover is loose. You might have broken a clip or done something when they were doing the LED conversion, but you know, that's just the stupid little stuff. You know, a lot of people that work on these cars that don't know the cars, they end up breaking shit because they don't know what they're doing. But we'll get it all right. And the car is actually a really nice driver. Like, I would hop in this car, well, I'm in the car, but I would drive this car across the country. I honestly would. Probably wouldn't hesitate. Whether it's got a couple leaks or whatever, this is actually a really nice car. The speedo doesn't bounce. There's no vibrations. Brakes are good. Well, that concludes our test drive. It's definitely not the loudest Foxbody I've ever heard. So my understanding is it's on the original H pipe still, just has a Flowmaster catback. So I'd be concerned at 170,000 miles if the cats are still doing their thing, if maybe they're clogged or anything else. So maybe, you know, we'll check with the pyrometer, just make sure that everything looks like it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, at least if it's flowing, right? We just don't want any obstructions or anything like that that would be keeping the car from running the way that it should. And that's pretty much it, guys. So let me know what you think in terms of a project name. Let me know if you think that this is an average Fox or a Survivor Fox. I'm leaning more towards Survivor, right? It might have some miles on it, but honestly, miles don't matter when you got all your original panels and almost no modifications. In fact, there is no modifications the more that I think about it, other than the catback exhaust. So that's it for this project, for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Stay tuned. I'll be capturing and documenting everything that we do. Of course, the next major step is going to be tear down and getting this thing ready for paint. And the big question is going to be, does the motor come out or does the motor stay in the car? So stay tuned. We'll catch you here next time on the Infamous Project.